Grizz Nation, it's another week and it's time for another edition of 3 Point Stands presented by Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew!
Oh, he is jacked up on some Mountain Dew. That is John Roser. I am Meghan Triplett. And let's talk about the week that was, the weekend that was. A lot of topics to get into. But let's start with some sad news that broke Monday morning. The NFL's winningest coach in history, Miami Dolphins former coach Don Shula, passed away Monday morning peacefully at home. I know, Roser, you have a lot to say about Don Shula and just kind of what he meant to you just growing up watching him coach in the NFL.
Well, I mean, as an NFL fan, as a big NFL fan, I mean, Don Shula was, growing up when you talked about the Mount Rushmore of like when I grew up watching like the Mount Rushmore of NFL coaches at that time was probably like Bill Walsh from the 49ers, Don Shula from the Dolphins, Jimmy Johnson certainly in his time with the Cowboys was great. And there were some other guys you could argue, but those three right there, and Don Shula, you can make a case that Don Shula might be the greatest NFL coach ever. He's got the most wins all time. Belichick can pass him, and it seems like Belichick, as long as he keeps coaching, Belichick is going to pass him. But that's going to take him a couple more years, and who knows what they look like without Tom Brady. But Don Shula, 33 seasons as a head coach of the Baltimore Colts and the Miami Dolphins, 2 losing seasons.
Wow.
Only 2 losing seasons in 33 years, won 2 Super Bowl championships, won 1 NFL championship. So you could say he won 3 world championships as a head coach in 33 years, and just 2 losing seasons.
Yeah.
I mean, that's insane, just 2 losing seasons in 33 years as a coach, is coaching anything for 33 years and having 2 losing seasons. Spectacular. And, I always remember, when I would go to SEC Media Days, the restaurant inside the Hyatt Regency Winfrey in Birmingham is Shula's Steakhouse. It was Don Shula's Steakhouse. And every year they would bring us out, our last day at Media Days, they'd bring us out either a dessert or a steak for each people, everybody on Radio Row to just test out and try out. And I'll tell you, shout out to Shula's Steakhouse. That place was awesome. But, thoughts and prayers with the Shula family. Rest in peace, Don Shula, arguably the greatest NFL coach of all time.
I mean, Roser, you already said the stats that kind of back it up. It's hard to argue with you on that one when you look at just 2 losing seasons. So I agree. There's no argument on that stance at all.
In the NFL, because as you see, like the NFL, there's so much parity in the league. Like you can go from being 12-4 one season to being 5-11 the next year. Like it's not unheard of at all. It happens all the time in the NFL.
All right, so let's move on to another topic that we've been talking about, The Last Dance, every single week. We got episode 5 and 6 on Sunday, and such a jam-packed both episodes. Episode 5 might be my favorite, all-time favorite so far. Last Dance episode. Just give me your takeaways and just what you gathered from those 2 episodes on Sunday night.
Well, obviously, I think you got to know Michael Jordan a little bit better. It kind of stripped him down and you got to know him as a person. Here's the biggest thing I took away. I said this on the Chris Vernon show. Nike. This is the thing with Nike. Michael Jordan wanted to sign with Adidas. He wanted to wear Adidas. That's what he said. He was an Adidas guy. He wanted, all the big players were wearing Converse. He wanted to wear Adidas. He liked Adidas. And you think about it, the biggest shoe companies, the biggest selling shoes in the world right now are Nike, Yeezys, which are made by Adidas, which are Adidas. They do the do the manufacturing, all that stuff, and Jordan Brand. What if Michael Jordan goes to Adidas? What if Adidas is willing to give him that money and the Air Jordan brand is now with Adidas? So you would have, and they signed Kobe Bryant out of high school. Sonny Vaccaro helped them sign Kobe Bryant. And he had delivered Adidas also, LeBron James, until the Adidas pulled the deal at the last moment. Keep in mind, LeBron James wore Adidas all throughout high school. He wore Adidas shoes. His high school team wore Adidas uniforms. He was an Adidas guy, too, until they didn't offer him the big money when he entered the NBA and Nike swooped in and Nike got him. What if Adidas had Michael Jordan and got the Jordan brand? They have Yeezy. They would have kept Kobe and they would have signed LeBron. What is Nike basketball?
Mind blown.
What is Nike basketball right now?
You know what, Rosa? The only thing you haven't said yet, all the credit. If Nike knows anything, all that credit goes to Michael Jordan's mom. When Michael Jordan's mom said, like, nope, getting on that plane, You need to go hear them out. That Miss Jordan, she's the one who did all of this.
That is man, that is what she is one. Just from the little bit that we've seen from her in this documentary, that is one strong woman. That is a strong woman.
She is, and as you mentioned, we got to learn so much more about him. Not even just the Nike stuff. But see, like, I didn't know because I was too young to know about the Republican statement, not backing, the person who was running for, office, and just so that whole thing, I didn't know about it. So I was blown away. But I do, like, I have so much. I give a lot of respect to Michael Jordan for that, because I think we live in a time where I know everybody wants to use their platform for good. And, he even said it. He was like, at that time, my focus was on basketball. Like, I wasn't trying to be an activist. That wasn't my goal right then. He said, like, that statement was taken out of, like, context. Like, it was taken on a bus. The guys are just talking.
Chris and Devin and I and Kelsey, we talked about that too. What if every conversation you had just with your friends where you're just goofing around, text messages, whatever, none of us would have jobs.
No, you're right.
Jobs. Yeah, nobody in the world would be able to have a job with as politically correct as everybody is now, as you have to be. Nobody would have jobs if everything we said with our friends was.
I'm not saying that, Rosa, and I'm not saying that you and I talk about bad stuff all the time, off camera. It's just a matter of, like, things can be literally taken out of a sentence and twisted around to make it look like a certain way. We all make jokes, and so that part I didn't know about his life. So that part was very, very interesting. And also the dream team, Isaiah Thomas, like, once again, he was still a big topic of discussion of not making that Olympic team. And, Michael Jordan saying, like, hey, I never said his name. Like, I mean, I've always been, Michael Jordan is, like, he's my GOAT. I've said it several times. I grew up being a huge fan of his, and watching these episodes just solidifies it all over again of why I love Michael Jordan. He did not play. Like, you can see how he won at Jerry Krause. Like, whatever Krause didn't want it, Michael didn't want. We got Justin Timberlake. We had Nas in there. This time we had President Barack Obama, not former Chicago resident. I love that they changed it up for us in there. It was very, very informing two episodes. And I don't watch the previews to figure out what's going to happen the next, because I want to be surprised to know.
I don't know that. And the other thing is that you found out, it was after he won that second championship in 91-92 over the Blazers. They immediately leave that summer for Barcelona, and that's when the Dream Team took place. Was that the Summer Olympics in the 92 Summer Olympics in Barcelona, and you realized he was by far, and you can have an argument now who is the biggest athlete in the world. There was no mistaking it. He was the biggest athlete in the world. It's like the only other athlete in my lifetime that I have seen where there's no doubt about it, this guy's the biggest athlete in the world, is Tiger Woods. This is the only other time in my life where there's been no question about it, where Tiger Woods' peak of powers was by far the biggest athlete in the entire world. And Jordan was that way in that summer of 92, and from there on until the end of his career, he was by far the biggest athlete in the world. You see the media that's there to see him after every game. There's not a player in the NBA that it's like that today. LeBron gets the most NBA coverage. His media crowds are not that, where it's like 25 people deep trying to get shots of him. Like, we never seen anything like that before.
Mm-hmm. And, we haven't mentioned episode 5 started out with, that 1998 All-Star with Kobe Bryant. We got to see Michael Jordan, and we also got to hear from Kobe Bryant. Yeah. And it was just, obviously it's one of those, it still hasn't, like, it's still not real to me yet that he's not here. But it was great to hear, because we heard Michael Jordan talk about, Kobe at his funeral, and now to hear Kobe talk about Michael and call him, that was my big brother, and to say that, what you get from me is what you get from him. Like, I wouldn't be me if it wasn't for Michael. It was also just like, it just tugged on my heart, and it was such a great moment to see. I hope we get to see more of Kobe, because that was a moment that was so special. I wasn't ready. Episode 5 just started like that. I was like, wait a second. It was so many emotions, and it just built up.
Yeah, and here's the sad thing about that is we're never going to be able to get, how we would get, Jackie McMullen, one of the best basketball writers of all time. She's done the book on Larry Bird, done a book on Magic Johnson, and you will see, or did a book on, I think on both of them, because I think it was about that national title game between Michigan State and Indiana State, but she did. But you've seen Magic Johnson and Larry Bird sit down and do interviews together, and you could see Jordan and Magic sit down. We'll never get to see something now with both of them being retired, and because Kobe unfortunately has passed, see someone sit down, whether it's Rachel Nichols or whoever it may be, someone sit down with Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan, both of them together in the same room and do that interview. And that's something that, I think would be amazing to see right now. But rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. But yeah, I think The Last Dance, it is riveting television. It is amazing. It is amazing. I probably would be I'm not kidding you. If they were on at the same time as the NBA Finals, unless the Grizzlies were in the finals, I'd be watching The Last Dance over the NBA Finals. I'm not kidding you. I would watch The Last Dance over the NBA Finals.
Not even just in quarantine life, but this is the thing to watch. Like, I think that the one of the most beautiful things about The Last Dance, I know for me and my household, that Sunday evenings, we do church online together, we watch online, but The Last Dance literally brings us all around the TV. And when you bring a whole entire family around a TV, it takes something very special because everyone has different likes, and everyone is into sports, but everybody is watching this, whether you like sports or not.
He was. That is how polarizing of a figure he was, and how famous he really was.
Yes, and we still have more episodes. I don't want this to end. I'm kind of now sad. Like, wait a second.
Because it's very rare that an athlete can be a bigger celebrity and more famous worldwide than like a movie star or a musical artist, whether, whoever it is, Mick Jagger or Paul McCartney or Leonardo DiCaprio, or Robert De Niro at the time, or Al Pacino, Meryl Streep, Julia Roberts. Michael Jordan was more famous than all of them. Yeah. That's his height. Like, he was probably more famous than all of them.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so we can talk about The Last Dance, honestly, for hours and hours, and we're still going to talk about it next week on 3-Point Stance. I know we are. It's going to be the hottest thing. But our last dance is, we have to give a shout out to Monday's date. Monday's date is May the 4th, and like always on May the 4th, may the force be with you. So we got to take it all the way back. Huh?
Was it with you?
Yes, may the force be with you.
My dog's about to start barking.
It's okay. He is an honorary member of 3-Point Stance. He's our third member today.
He's a big fan of Yoda, aren't you, Dende?
Well, you know what?
Bark.
Okay, so that's your dog's, biggest character on Star Wars. Who's your, favorite character?
Darth Vader. Not even close. Darth Vader, yes. Never. Absolutely.
Never.
James Jones, the voice. I mean, it's one of the best, probably the greatest voice in the history of the world is James Earl Jones.
Can you do the voice? Can you do a mock of it?
No, I can do Bane, and that's it. I can do Bane from The Dark Knight Rises. That's it. I can't do Darth Vader. My voice isn't deep enough for that. I think I've got a pretty deep voice, but it's not deep enough to do Darth Vader.
Oh man, you gotta work on that. I never liked that character because, like, in my childhood, like growing up, seeing that was a scary thing to see. And I had nightmares. I remember having nightmares because my dad is a big Star Wars fan, and I'm a Star Wars of the original. I'm not watching all these remakes of it. I watch the original where it's on VHS tape still. We still have it. My dad still has VHS tape. We still have a VCR because of that reason, because my dad still watches movies on VHS. But it's hard for me. I'm sure you're going to guess. My favorite character is Princess Leia. When I was a kid, everyone was her for Star Wars. You did your hair into the little buns. It was very, very hard. But not only that, but I mean, this girl was bad. Like, she thought she was a bad chick out there, and she looked good doing it. Like, that was my favorite character.
The shout out to Princess Leia. I got no issue with Princess Leia.
You have a picture of her?
As long as you don't choose like R2D2 or like, what is it, CP3, C3PO, whatever. Yeah. That thing's annoying as hell. The gold, isn't that C3PO, the gold thing? CP3?
Yeah, it's one of those all those letters.
Yeah, the gold thing. That thing is annoying as hell. Like, why that thing hasn't gotten why someone hasn't just ripped its head off and like gotten rid of it?
I had the toys. I had them as toys too. You never had them as a kid?
No.
Oh, I did.
I was a Ghostbusters kid.
Oh no, Star Wars was the best. So I'm sure we'll, what's crazy. You even mentioned these movies. These movies are getting remade. These movies are getting remade for the younger generation right now, and they're like, what's going on? What are y'all talking about? That people don't even know what we're talking about. Honestly, right now, we're aging ourselves. We're definitely aging ourselves. But all right, that's all the time we have for today's edition of 3 Point Stands presented by Mountain Dew. I gotta say, Roser, you just got done working out. You have a glow. I'm loving this glow. It's wonderful.
Red face.
The beard is still growing in. I can't wait to see it by next week. By the end of this, I cannot wait to see what that beard looks like.
I'm gonna look like Teen Wolf.
You probably will.
Teen Wolf's always as good at basketball as Teen Wolf.
Well, hey, you heard a new Twilight book is coming out. It was announced that you can be a character from like a vampire.
Back in, I might be able to be a character.
That's a big thing again.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you same time, same place next week.